Morning guys, so back here this morning after I had to tear away when I forgot that I was meant to be somewhere at 3 o'clock yesterday. But anyway, so we've got, see they sent us another batch of sandpaper, because when they sent the first lot they must have only sent one lot, and then they've obviously realised that I thought they were just going to drop the other stuff off and they picked the other paper up. So down. So I've got another roll of each grit that I ordered, which is good. That's cool, got plenty of that now. Got some more body filler. Was it the Z grit this time? Really? So we need two different. Suppose it'll be alright, but I wish I just could stick with one product. Anyway, must be more we can get. And I've got the black paint that matches the frame, which is, must be PPG industrial coatings. So it's this, if you can read that, assuming it's just reading the can. I wish sometimes they just frickin' write on them. I know when Dad and I always order stuff, the guys are good, they just write, 4-to-1, 2-to-1, whatever, or 4-to-1, whatever. It's just frickin' makes life easier, because sometimes reading the shit can be, when you're not used to doing it all the time. Like I've painted plenty of stuff, but I haven't been doing it every day, for the last 46 years, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this looks like it's for the 4 litres of this. You would mix 1 litre of hardener. So it's 4-to-1. So I've got 2 litres here, which is a bit over half a gallon. That should be plenty to do all the suspension stuff and bits and pieces that I need to do. Obviously not going to paint the guards in this because it's satin, but any of the other little bits and pieces for the suspension, diffs, steering, hopefully this should be plenty. Might be other bits and pieces in amongst it too, like some of the brake linkages and stuff like that. When we get a bit of stuff cleaned up, I've cleaned up a lot of it at other points, but we'll give it a final clean up, lay it out, etch it, whatever, flick it, and then blow a bit of this on it, sort of type thing, as we're starting to assemble this chassis. So yeah, I think this should be plenty. I hope. If we need more, we need more. I think 2 litres should be plenty. I can't see us using 4 litres of this. And we'll get some other black, obviously for the fenders and the running boards and stuff like that. Because I imagine that'll be the only stuff that'll be black on it. And then probably, I might be even better paint steering column and stuff like that with this. I'll see. It's probably that sort of like the steering box, the steering column might be right in the satin. Either they'll paint it gloss. I'm just trying to think what other sort of parts, that you could probably paint in that sort of stuff. There'd be lots of little odds and ends and bits and pieces to do with chassis and stuff like that we could use this for. That's cool. Just trying to see. See, it doesn't even tell you whether it's a fast hardener. I guess it would just be doesn't tell you whether it's a fast or a slow hardener or whatever, if you know. Being coming into summer, it's probably what he was recommended for this time of year, which is fine. But I don't know, they're just be nice to. They're a bit slack. A lot of products say, like I know when Dad and I were getting all that paint for those tractors and stuff through different companies. They'd write on it, whether it was a fast or a slow or whatever, I know I can look up the part number, but how hard is it to write on there? Fast hardener, 1-to-1, 4-to-1, 2-to-1, or, it's not hard to do. For guys that aren't doing it all the time. But yeah, that's really cool. I've sprayed this sort of stuff before on truck chassis, so that's cool. Nice, plenty of reduce there to go with it. So that's good, you know, clean out the garden, whatever. So yeah, it would have been nice to maybe have a fact sheet with it. Which, I must put some more stuff. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why the Z gripped a bit right. I don't know, it would have been nice to use the same Rage Ultra all the way through, just so you know that there's not any problems, but it should be fine. Should be fine. So we'll get into a bit of that later on too. But I think while I've got all those parts set up, I may as well, it's not that cold. We'll get a foggy morning, so at least it's not humid. Well, it is, but it's not in here. It's not a hot, sticky morning or anything like that, so I could probably blow a lot of those pieces black from yesterday. Those bits there, I could spray them black this morning and just have them all ready to go, if you know what I mean. So we've got the other parts, the kingpins and the tie rod-ends, getting the pieces made. The bits that need to be, I'm just going to go through it and check it all, make sure the tolerances are all reasonable. Yeah, and make pieces that need to be repaired or replaced. And then we're going to get a hold of a steam cleaner, hopefully try and get that diff housing cleaned up, especially in the inside of it. And I'll start cleaning those bits and pieces, separate those bits up. But yeah, I might get the stuff painted at least, then I can put the springs back together, stuff like that. Just trying to think, I need to really leave the axle out, but I could possibly put the springs back in the chassis. Actually, I probably should clean up these spring hangers too, get them sprayed in. Then clean up and spray too. Didn't think about those, but yeah, that's all good. It's another little batch of stuff we can do at some other point. I can do them with probably the rear stuff. But anyway, at least to get that sprayed and just bolt the springs and stuff back together. And then find a bit of something to wrap around them in the meantime. Or just something to sit them on so they're not going to get scratched. A bit of cardboard or something like that. Just sit them out of the road. But yeah, we'll get sorting and we'll get some stuff done. Yeah, just been trying to doing some research on that paint. From what I can find, it's 4-to-1. Because sometimes it's hard to find the right information on the internet. You end up with that many freaking pages of just crap. Just trying to find a mixing ratio just to double check. But it looks like it's 4-to-1. So that's cool. It's easy enough to do then. I'll get some paint mixed up and see if we get this stuff sprayed. Okay, so I've sprayed one side of them, so I'm just going to let them flash off for a few minutes, and hopefully the paint doesn't go off in the frickin' spray gun while let them go off. Fortunately, they only be touching the very end, so it's not going to be a huge problem, and it's going to be in one of those sort of places you're not going to see a lot of it anyway, so if there is the odd little mark on it, it's not going to be super critical, but I'll just let them flash off for a few minutes. Hopefully we can turn it over without too many problems. And yeah, and then spray the other sides with a light coat, and then a reasonable sort of quick sort of semi-double, and hopefully we get up to the best we've got. It should be okay, I think. It's a flat finish anyway, so what it's meant to be. Anyway, so yeah, it'll be cool. Just a little bit sticky. Just need to. I've only really sort of sprayed it off a couple of 3-4 minutes ago, and I can touch the edge of that one, and it's not leaving marks, if you know what I mean. So it's going off fairly quick. So hopefully, yeah, I'll just leave it a few more minutes, turn them over and blow the other sides of it, and then we'll just let it sit there for an hour or two, and then I'll shift them, whatever, or just let them sit there until they sort of harden up till tomorrow or whatever, and then I'll start assembling them or whatever. Just give them a chance to cure. It's quite mild at the moment. I wouldn't say it's hot, but it's not cold either. So yeah, we'll just leave them for a few more minutes and we'll turn them over. Not that you can really see much. It's black. But yeah, it should be alright. Turn them over, give them another tart up on the other side, and probably give them a bit more of a coat on the other side, try and get around the edges a little bit more and all that sort of stuff. But should be nice. It's a nice industrial truck coating, so should be pretty good. Plenty of paint in there. I probably wasted 100 mils, unfortunately, just, not used to the product. I haven't used it for a long time, so I thought I might have used a little bit more, but it seemed to spray on pretty nicely yet, and it wasn't, I didn't use as much as I thought I might have, but that's life. Gun it with a wipe down. I'm giving it a rinse out, but I haven't blown it back through yet, and then I'll pull it apart. Alrighty guys, so I've got a few diff parts. I've been trying to have them sort of, I wouldn't say soaking in here, but I've just been trying to brush some of the crap away, especially off this centerpiece. I've got one of the other ends off that other diff that I stripped, which is off that one, because there's a clip missing out of that one, I just noticed, so I've got one of those ends so I can see if the clip's in it. See in here, there's like a wire clip, and there's nothing on here. That's why that fell out the other day. So it's meant to be a wire clip in here to obviously hold that stuff in there. So that's missing. So hopefully that's in one of those ends. I can get it out of there. And I've just been looking at the spring pack to strip it down, but I see that they've welded this shit together, which is a real pain. So that's going to be welded to that spring, and that's welded to that spring. But I can spread them to get them out, but I actually need to do it on this pack because the spring here, which looks like it possibly could be a new one that's been made, is in there the wrong way around. That should be around the other way and it should come up to here. You know what I mean? Because if you look at this one here, see, it doesn't interfere. It's, you know, probably got it, I don't know, half an inch, probably not quite half an inch, 3/8 of an inch gap at each end, whereas this has got bloody near an inch at that end, and it's overlapping by, I wouldn't say, be close to 3/4, probably not quite that far, but so it really needs to be back that way, around the other way. So I've got to try and get this one apart anyway. So yeah, this one here's been welded together too, isn't it? Yeah. Why they've done that, I don't know. Which is a bit of a pain. But it is what it is. That might be just factory, I don't know. It's just unusual that the ones are bolted through here with the things to hold the springs together with the bolt. But these ones are welded on. So anyway, I'll sort that out shortly. See if I can get this apart. Yeah, and then obviously just keep cleaning bits up. That stuff's just about dry. I've actually just turned it over before to try and let the piece that was near the timber dry. So yeah, then I can hopefully get this stuff cleaned up over the next few days. See if we get a steam cleaner here or somewhere to get this really cleaned out, because the oil on here is just thick, like it is. It's just like tar in there. So I need to get that in there and get that really cleaned out, because the last thing you want is, like, you know, give this a decent clean out and there's still this big thick sludge in there. You know, and you get it down the road and it gets nice and hot, and then it starts getting runny, and then all of a sudden it starts running through gears and crap like that, and, you know, maybe cause an issue, you know, from the shit and crap that's probably stuck in it from being open like this for a long time. You know, it's the last thing you need is gunging crap in there. So yeah, like, it's either needs steam cleaned or in a hot tank or something like that, and really cleaned out on the inside. It's just unfortunate. It's sort of the way it's made. It's, you know, you're only working through a hole that's probably about 1.5 inches in diameter through there, and you know, you're trying to work out through those tubes, and they're not very large. So hopefully we can get it cleaned out decently. Anyway, I'll have a play with this, see if I can get this apart, and at least get that spring turned around. Righty, I got this partly apart, so you get it spread. I used to get it apart. That spring was definitely around backwards. I just turn it around. See the hole. See the hole lines up there now, and it actually fits in the pack instead of sitting on top of it. So yeah, that end there was sitting up on there, which is, I don't know. Looks like these been remade anyway. That one and that one, for sure. It's a shame they didn't cut the ends, but for all it ever matters, it won't matter much. I could do it, but I'm not worried about it. So yeah, these are going to be a pain in the butt, because I'm going to have to either flick these and then paint those bits, but afterwards, after I sort of bend them in and clamp them back together or something, I don't know. It's not ideal to have to paint that and then beat it closed again, or, you know, squash it closed again, which is kind of a pain. At least the other ones is just a bolt that goes through. So yeah, so we'll have to spread these on as well and get the rest of the stuff apart and get them cleaned up. So yeah, it's a bit of a, I don't know, it's just to show that was around the back wrong freaking way. So that's cool. So I've got a couple of spring pieces cleaned up, and I've got to separate this more. I'm about to go for lunch. But I actually just realised tonight I've actually got to go look at that 24 Dodge, I think it is, to have a look at. Apparently it's a complete car, low mileage. I don't know much more about it. So it'd be interesting to go have a look at that tonight. And yeah, that'll be probably, along with the whole Newt, probably one of the next projects. So I sort of need to get this a bit more further on until I can get it in here. Yeah, I know how that's going to go, but we'll cope, I suppose. Once I can sort of get that body back on and get it painted and start putting it back together, I might be able to get another vehicle in here at least and start, when I'm from waiting for bits or whatever, I can start slowly stripping the other one down and labelling, you know, putting it in bags and labelling it all, whatever. And obviously it depends on how much they want to do to it. So yeah, that'll be coming up shortly. So I'll try and do a little video clips on that tonight if I can. See how that goes. But yeah, so it's something else to look forward to too. So, you know, I'm sort of thinking maybe possibly start, you know, some of these other projects just sort of after Christmas, by the time I sort of get this one coming together, if you know what I mean. Hopefully that should be shortly. Well, we sort of are coming together, but we're not coming together at the moment. Hopefully the chassis will be starting to come together anyway in the next few days. But yeah, anyway, we'll catch you later on. We'll see you after lunch. Yes, that house right at the end is the house I used to live in as a kid. There you go, guys. Morning. So, went and looked at this 24 Dodge last night to, is probably one of the next projects. He's pretty keen to get it done. Wants it done before February 23. So I think it's be one of these vehicles that'll be here in the next sort of month or two, maybe just after Christmas sort of type thing. See how we get on. Now it's done supposedly about 24,000 miles from new. So mechanically it should be okay. It hasn't been run in 10 years. The guy's father died 10 years ago, but apparently his father ran it regularly up until that point. But it was jam-packed in a shed, so unfortunately I didn't get an opportunity to take any videos or photos because it was really hard to get into to look at, let alone try and take photos and videos. I was hoping, you know, maybe to be able to do a bit of a walk around it, but yeah, that wasn't possible. Could barely get in the shed, let alone look at it properly. But it looks like it's in fairly good shape. It doesn't look bashed about or banged about. It's just old, paint shabby, all those sorts of things. You know, like it's probably one of those vehicles you either would leave it how it is, get it running, put it through the motions, make sure everything's okay, you know, replace seals and whatever else if it needs it. Not sure, but would it be mechanical brakes or juice brakes? I'm not sure. 24 Dodge, not sure, but it's apparently one of the first steel cars. That era of Dodge was one of the very first vehicles to make a full steel body. It's an open top, four-door like the Studebaker, but a 1924. So basically it needs cosmetics as long as all the running gears are okay. So that's what we're going at to. So this morning's plans is I want to do a bit more work on these, get those springs back together. Like that's only just a couple of bolts, and in between waiting on body filler for this sort of stuff, I'll do a bit more clean up on the springs and the rear diff and stuff like that. Just keep myself busy doing a few different things to keep things going. But sometimes I get it. It sort of sucks being here by yourself. I like being here by myself, but it'd be nice to have somebody to talk to. So that's why I keep chopping and changing bits and pieces so I don't get so bored doing one thing. You know, it'd be nice to be able to just have somebody to bloody talk to. God, it really sucks, this COVID shit. You know, not being able to be over there with Arco and whatever and just doing that sort of stuff that we want to be doing together. But it is what it is. Hopefully, with these other vehicles coming in and possibly this whole ute, hopefully next year too, I'm thinking maybe if we can get this painted and rolling back together again, as long as everything else goes okay, you know, sort of February, maybe March, doing the last little bits and pieces on this Studebaker. I can, you know, if we can get this painted before Christmas and start going back together, as long as everything goes good. Like, there shouldn't be any reason why it shouldn't. No, we're not into November yet. You know, I probably could have it painted before the end of November as long as we can get this chassis back together and get the body back on it. You know, it's just a matter of waiting for parts and bits and pieces and obviously getting things together. So yeah, I can imagine that Dodge being in here about Christmas time, and possibly that Holden, so we need to get that together, and you know, we'll start one or the other, because yeah, as I said, that guy wants the Dodge done by February next year, 2023, not 2022, 2023, so it's sort of like, we're talking sort of 14, 15, 16 months from now. So if it doesn't need a lot of mechanical, just needs a tart up and maybe a bit of a go, just check things, and then just do the body, you know, the body and upholstery, you know, fresh paint and whatever, and a bit of a straighten out and whatever. It mightn't be a huge job, but who knows? We won't know until we get into it. But yeah, I'll get on with this stuff, and we'll see you shortly. Right, so the first lot of body file I used was the Evercoat Rage Ultra, and like I said, you know, I wouldn't mind using the Z grip again, just, you know, when I was doing Dad's Jag, to see what the difference was. Well, I don't know why couldn't get that. Unfortunately, I didn't talk to the owner. God, stop fluctuating the light. But we've got Z grip plus here, non-clog lightweight body filler. So fortunately, it's the same family. Would have been nice to be using exactly the same product, but I've got 2 cans of this Z grip now, so we'll carry on. Ideally, it's not how I would normally do things. I would like to try and keep using exactly the same product, just in case there happens to be an issue, you know what I mean? But it should be okay. It's not normally how I would do things, but I'm not buying the products, you know what I mean? I'm just saying what I want, and the owner of the vehicle goes and gets what he can, I guess. Yeah, this is yellow. Okay, so this is a different formula of Z grip again. So this is more like the Rage Gold. Maybe that's what the plus is, why it's in yellow. Yeah, because the last time I used Z grip, it was same colour as that other stuff. Okay. Oh wow. Maybe I might have to check that it can. Maybe when I put the blue hardener in it, it goes greeny. I don't know. It doesn't look like there's any. Doesn't look like it's separated any. So we'll just give it a quick stir just to make sure, you know, it's mix it around a little bit. It's a fresh can. Put all the stuff away from the sides, still the top thing. So yeah. And I don't know why they make so many different variations of stuff. It's funny how they do that, eh? They must just decide that they want to change the formula a little bit, come up with a slightly better solution. I suppose it's like with the cars, isn't it? You know, you can have the same model car but a year newer than your mates, and it's quite a few things of difference. So they're always changing, innovating, deciding like, oh yeah, we've improved that part of the vehicle, we want to change that now, which makes it fun years down the road down the track when you're trying to find the right part for something. But anyway, a bit of white. See, I'll mix up some body filler and we'll get it back on there. It's a bit cooler this morning. It was a bit cooler, so it's a bit thicker at the moment. It'll be interesting to see as the day warms up what it's like. Should be a fairly nice hot day again, so, but at the moment it's coolish. I'm not going to mix up too much, I'll just see how far the spread it. I don't need a huge amount in there, if you know what I mean. I'll try and spread it out if I can. Sweet. Oh, that's that skimmed again. So at least that'd be ready to block off in, you know, half an hour to the top thing, 40 minutes. So I think we'll, I think I might do some more sandblasting on those springs, because that painted stuff's, you know, that doesn't matter if it sits here for another half a day, if you know what I mean. I'll get the springs cleaned up, some more, one of those packs cleaned up properly, and some other bits and pieces. I might sort out the hangers and get them cleaned up, and yeah, get them ready to paint that other stuff. We'll clean up here and we'll get some stuff done. Anyway, stupid air fitting, got it in another one. That's looking pretty good now. There's a few little spots where it needs a bit of putty or something like that, glazing putty. And probably in here where you can see the funny marks in it. But apart from that, you know, a few little more marks here, but I don't think it's worth chasing with the body filler again. I think generally that's pretty good. You know, just the glazing putty, I think, for the rest of it now. Yeah, I think get the rest of it all in glazing putty. It's not bad. It's actually, I've had the two different colour body fillers. It's a shame that you can't buy two different colours, you know, for the same product. It is quite handy to see, you know, where you're still chasing, you know, and it shows you how much, you know, you think it wasn't bad before, and and how much of these other patches are still of the top colour is, you know, over top of the other stuff, you know, and what patches are actually where it low still, you know. It's quite amazing to show how much you know, extra material it needed, and how much it doesn't sand it off, you know, basically. Like, it's not thick, you know, it's just, I don't know what it would be, you know, like it'll be maybe a 16th, you know, where it's happens to be a little bit thicker, but for most of it's only going to be, you know, I don't know, like a 32nd or even less, you know. In a lot of places, you know, like this is all just about down to steel, you know, you can see it coming through in a lot of places, the grey and the edge, so it's cool. You know, a little bit of glazing putting here and there, and that'll be good to go, you know, and then high build. So yeah, I don't think I'll panic, like I said, going any further until we again get the body back on the chassis and we start doing a bit more other stuff, and you know, getting ready to blow high build on, you know, and then we'll whip around with some glazing putty, fill some of these spots, knock the worst of it off, and then pour a high build on it, and go from there, if you know what I mean. Because high build will probably get rid of some of these other little marks, you know, it'll fill it up enough that it shouldn't be too much of a problem. You know, if we can block down along the way, even back down to this level with high build, you know, a lot of this other stuff will be gone, and then you can put another couple of layers on top of it, you know, hit it with lucky blocks and away you go, you know. I don't know if we'll do much on the inside, it'll probably just a few coats of high build and a nice sand back, you know. That should look fine. So that's cool. There's another one down. I'll check the time and see how we're going on time today. Just pull up the tripod and just run you through a couple other things I've been doing. Right, now they get the dirty fingerprint off the back of the camera. So I've got all the shackle sort of stuff all cleaned up. I just gave it a rinse in here. This is all the stuff out of here, but a lot of it's evaporated, so so that's like half a, what is it, 20 litres? I don't know, whatever these are. Like a container that they would have had, I don't know, some sort of stuff in. So that's what it came in originally. So that was full, but that's barely half of it now, if you know what I mean. So that's how much it's evaporated out of it. So I need to get some fresh, something in here, and obviously give this a clean out. You can see how much crap's in here. There's still a little bit of in there, but yeah, this needs a clean out. Shit, it was even taking the paint off the inside. That stuff, whatever that CRC stuff is, whether I don't, to be honest, like for the cost of that, I think it's a bit overkill. I know Dad just used to use kerosene, you know, way back. I don't know what kerosene's worth now, or even petrol would be, you know, it does to give these parts a good clean out, and then you can obviously give them a wash down with brake clean or, you know, whatever later on, and then give them a wipe for prep, you know, with some prep stuff. But I'll just give them these a rinse in here, obviously to get the grit out of them, whatever. Because I try to just go around the ends and keep away from these pieces. They're not in premium nick, so I'll give them a bit of I've got about 1,000 or something somewhere, and I'll give them these you know, a bit of a light polish up. Obviously we'll make sure we get all the grease and crap out of these, make sure these grease nipples work, whatever you guys want to call them. We call them grease nipples. Make sure that they are all clean and working. At some point, we'll just pull them off, pump a little bit of grease through them, you know, and then obviously give them a wipe off, clean off, and just make sure that there's no shit in the galleries. So when we actually do pump grease into this stuff and we've got it all back together and running and driving, it's not there's no grit and stand and crap and shit in there. So it's important. Got the diff gears and everything here soaking at the moment. I just turned it over a couple of times and just brushed it down. So hopefully, in the whole centre, no, that'll be right. But yeah, to let that soak and try and loosen up all the gunge and shit off it. So we'll give that a, when we get a little bit further on, we'll use that housing. We'll probably use the original housing and get that all cleaned up as well, and get that reassembled, and obviously check it all out and whatever, and have a really good inspection. I know it looks pretty good, but we've just given it a quick to see whether it was better than that, so we need to give it obviously a lot better inspection. It's not to say that we can't use some of these bits to make one. So that's about as far as I've got there. I haven't done any more for the diff springs or anything like that, but that's where we're at the moment. So I'll set some more stuff up here. I'll check the time, set the timers, the day's warming up. I don't mind that new Z grip. I'm pretty sure that's different. I'm pretty sure that stuff was just Z grip. This is Z grip plus. So yeah, it's another one to look at. Be interesting now that actually the temperature's coming up a little bit. Be interesting to see how much more runny it becomes. I changed that bit of paper before. They'll probably just put the other piece in there, just keep it handy. It might be alright for a short block or something like that, just to bit of light sanding. It's 80 grit, so we're not going to be using it a lot, but when we just do the, when we're doing the final filler in there, it might be handy just go around the edges and stuff like that to just break the shapes and sharper and stuff like that before we put high build on, so we won't throw that away in the meantime. But I just wanted a sharper, cleaner bit to keep that nice and flat. So yeah, right, I'll catch you later. So just actually reading a comment from John, C.A.R finisher or whatever his thing is on YouTube. These springs here, this has actually got 2 marks on it. This has got 1 mark on it. Plus, you can actually see where the springs have been sitting. So it's pretty hard to get them mixed up which way around they go. You can see where they've been sitting over the years. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure that was the left hand and that was the right hand. From memory, I think. So, yeah, we kind of know which way they're meant to be. And, yeah, they obviously only go one way in the vehicle. But, yeah, so I know, because of the marks, you could tell which way they're round they went, because otherwise they don't line up. You can see where it's been sitting. But I try to keep the packs together. I try not to get them mixed up, if you know what I mean. So, but those lines, yeah, definitely you know which way is what and what side was what. So, there you go. But yeah, I'll just actually just had a wee sit down for 5 minutes, and I'm about to drag one of these sides out and sit up here and start doing some body work on that. And as I think I've said in previous videos, I'm not actually going to put any body filler on this part up. I'm just going to try and get that in high build. But there's been a few marks and a few sort of just dints and bits and pieces in this part, so I'm going to just try and, it's going to be a bit of a funny one to sand round, but I'm going to try and just smear a coat of body filler through these pieces and try and get them to just flatten out reasonably nicely. I'll possibly get it in high build and glazing putty even. Just thinking just what would be easier, because the marks aren't bad. That one there's pulled in a little bit. I did try and flatten that out, but I don't want to. It's got a little bit of a, you know what I mean. It's almost needs shrunk. So I don't want to beat on it too much more and make it really twisty. But yeah, I probably could even get away with just high build and glazing putty maybe because I don't actually feel that bad. A little bit of a, but there is little leather things in here, and the handles are on there, and so it sort of hides bits and pieces too. And these are, I'm just trying to remember what these are for. I can look on photos to see, but it's little trim bits. They're like just rivets basically, but yeah. But anyway, I'm just trying to decide now whether I'm actually going to put body filler on these, or whether I actually start having a look at this thing, get some mud on that. I might have a look at the other one quickly and then just decide whether I can try and get them in high build and glazing putty. Might be easier. Yeah, I'll just throw the second one up there. I think I might just get these with high build and a bit of glazing putty, just in where the holes are in it for the different trim pieces. Just a bit of high build, block it back, and a little bit of glazing putty, and then obviously when the other pieces go back on, you're not going to notice it too much. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a lot of sanding for nothing. We'll get the worst of it in high build, I think. But there's a little bit of mark put down there, but I think the glazing putty will get it once it's blocked back with a bit of high build and see where it maybe needs a little bit of filler, and we can just smear a little bit over it and keep blocking, I think. Right, I'll throw that up here and we'll have a decent look at that. I might have to mock a few more marks out of it. Alrighty, so I didn't show this on camera, I've just put the initial coat on there. I was a little bit light when I was getting down the end, but I've got most of it. It's going to need another probably fill anyway by the time we smash all the high stuff off, and there'll be a few lows in this. It wasn't in the best shape. I've straightened out reasonably well. A lot of it's not seen. Like part of this is back underneath the back of the body, and a few things like that. So it's and the guards come up here, so like you're not seeing around the corners quite so much. We'll smear a little bit of something over there, or as we put a few coats of high build in there, we'll just block it out around the corners to the top thing. You don't see basically any of it, so that's cool. We'll block her out and remud it, and I think there's also a spare wheel sits over top of it too, so like it's not one of those really visible, but it's still going to be right. So it doesn't matter if it's a little bit wavier like across that back edge, but as I said, like it's actually got holes where it's actually screwed back up underneath the body, I think, across the board at the back. So once it's actually on there and there's holes in it, which I've got to clean out once that's dried, and we'll flip it over and we'll clean those holes out, and then we'll block it off. And I'll try to clean these holes out so they weren't too full. But yeah, we'll block that off later and after lunch, and and then hit it again. Righty, this is the second lot of filler on here. As you can sort of see, it's got two slightly different, just two slightly different colours on it, I suppose. I wasn't 100% happy with here, so I've hammered that down a little bit. And obviously a couple of other little spots too. I just tried to knock, mainly that one there, a little bit here. I've just tried to lower them down a little bit. You could actually feel, especially those two, you could peel them high compared with the rest of the panel. But it's coming up alright. As I said earlier in the video, like part of this is hidden underneath. Comes up underneath here. So some of it's not seen, so that's why I'm not too picky about this back edge quite so much being dead level and straight. So yeah, but it's sanding up alright. A little bit more work to do around here. It's one of those bitchy places to sand because it's a round circle. You don't want to be sanding too much and then digging yourself a hole, and when you're trying to sand the rest of it flat around it. So I'll probably sand this off a bit more, to be honest. I'll just probably have to get a little piece and get in here. I might even use one of those lucky blocks are made up. Might use one of those short ones, or even one of the short Dura blocks in here, maybe, to get in here and just sand in a bit flatter around here, so I'm not building up with material and making this disappear. You still obviously want that edge around there, but want to get as level as possible, obviously. So you'll block that out a little bit. Just try to use a small block to get around here. That's what Arco sort of says, but sometimes you only want those little wee blocks, so you're not actually digging way out in here. So I can sort of come around here and knock a lot of that off, but not disturb too much, you know what I mean? And then hopefully when you block it back out with high build, you're only having to give this a light rub around here and blocking the rest out. So that's cool. So I'm about to leave it here for the day, I think. Yeah, it's getting pretty hot and sticky. The second batch of body filler I mixed up, probably a little bit much harder in it. I got about halfway through it and I was trying to spread it and I was like, shit, this is going off, and I was lucky quite a pile left on the thing. So when the next time I mixed up a little bit, I actually put in quite a bit less. So yeah, you got to watch your temperatures from this morning till now. Again, I got caught with just a bit much hardener in the body filler. I don't actually mind that. That's actually similar. It's closer to that Rage Gold. It's still not quite as runny. That Rage Gold was very runny, easy to spread. Mind you, it's getting warmer, so I think, I'm trying to remember when I used that Rage Gold, yeah, it was pretty much a dead of middle summer over in Tasmania, and we're quite a bit further north than here, not excessively, but quite a bit further north, so your temperature is more consistent heat. So yeah, that was probably part of it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to have to go have a look at that Z grip that Dad's got. I'm pretty sure that was green. Sort of that lighter colour when you put the body filler in it. It sort of goes that greeny, not yellow. So that's interesting. So obviously, yeah, that Z grip plus is more like the Rage Gold. Yeah, it's crazy how many different variations of body filler the one company makes, Yeah, you'd think you'd only bring, 2 or 3 into a country, but I suppose at the moment people are just taking what they can get. Just like that all over the world with everything. But we've got 2 lots of that, so that should be plenty, I hope. So I'm not far away with that. It's possibly, again, might be worth just leaving it until we get a wee bit further on, and then we can revisit once we get body back on the car, if you know what I mean. We can probably bolt a few of these things down, or not so much. Well, you probably can bolt it down because I can use the underbolts, to hold it down. We can make sure it's fitting nice, whatever. And the doors and hood sides. But yeah, I'll move on to the fenders next, and I've still got to get some more stuff cleaned up on those diff parts. But at the end of the day, I haven't got that diff housing cleaned up. I've still got the centre soaking. I've turned that over again earlier, just to try and get the internal stuff from each side. So much of it, and then turn it over again, and to try and free up the guns and stuff in there, so it's a wee bit easier to clean up when we strip it and check it properly. But yeah, so that's cool. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. We're going to go home and have a shower and whatever, and have something to eat, and we'll see you back here tomorrow, I guess. Alright guys, cheers. Hey guys, if you need welding gas, go see the boys at Cool Gas. If you're in New Zealand, yep, go see these guys. They'll look after you. Cool Gas, New Zealand.